right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the collaboration of Unklogg and Cherish Your Yoni podcast. As you all know, I'm Tosh, and I have my lovely sis, Kat, here with me, who is the host for Cherish Your Yoni. So when the powers combine, you get an episode of Unclog Your Yoni.
Which is magic.
Yes. Very much so magic. Black girl magic.
That part.
So today we're going to talk about how we correlate the powers of sexuality and creativity and how they combine, or how one charges the other, or how they can coexist in the same space. So my question to you all is, do you believe that there is a connection between your sexuality and creativity?
And that's a good question, because I feel like there's so much you can unpack. Like, what's also your sexual history? How were you raised when it pertains to sex and that topic? What was your upbringing like? Do you have trauma? Like, all those tap into your relationship with sexuality and creativity. So that's a very interesting topic, and there's just so much you can unpack with that.
Yeah, because we had this conversation before, we decided to do the podcast, and I think some of the things that we were talking about is just like sometimes there is guilt or shame that's like kind of built behind your sexuality. And then sometimes we tend to be, when we're ashamed or we feel guilty about something, we don't really like lean forward into that and actually like embrace that side of us, because we're always ashamed of like what other people are gonna think, right, how they're gonna feel. So I'm excited.
We about to turn it up. Okay.
We're about to turn it up a little.
We're about to turn it up a little bit. Okay.
All right.
All right. I feel like, okay. So to unpack like the history. So at what age did you lose your virginity?
Let's see. So I actually lost my virginity I was in high school, so it was in the 10th grade. I think it was in the 10th grade.
Okay. For me, it was actually right after high school. I think I was just graduated, so maybe like 17 I lost mine. And for me, so this is pretty much a 3-part question. So what was the experience like, and then what were the current misconceptions about sex? Like, my parents didn't talk to me about sex. It was just like, don't do it. So don't do it until you're married, right?
Right.
So a lot of it was learned behavior, which we talk about, we have discussed before. And the experience was painful. I don't think any of us knew what we were doing, but
I don't think
what is sex? Like,
I don't know. Some people act like they knew what they was doing back then. I can't even hold you. Like,
I can't relate.
I was like, and you what? You did what? Like, and I'm over here like, I don't even know. Like, I ain't even began yet. Like, but yeah, I think it was like the 10th or no, it was either the 10th, it was the 11th grade. But it wasn't, it was painful. It wasn't like super painful. It was like tolerable, but at the same time, like, I didn't really know, like, I didn't know what I was doing. Like,
yeah.
It was definitely giving amateur.
Amateur night.
Definitely giving amateur night.
I think I can agree to that, even though I was already out of high school, but I wasn't that long removed. It was literally like that summer. So I was 17, and I remember it being painful, tolerable but painful, and then it was just kind of like, okay,
what's next?
What's next, or whatever. Like, I can't even really say that it was pleasurable. Like I can't what's the word I'm looking for? I can't compare. Like I can't compare like pleasure at 17 versus pleasure at 38.
Yeah, especially like if I could sum it up, I would say I felt like we were just jackrabbits. You know what I'm saying? Like trying to figure out like the way like he was experienced, I wasn't, you know. Which, you know, we'll unpack on a later date when it comes, you know, start talking about, you know, the guys and girls, you know, male, female type of thing. We're gonna get a male co-host on here, and we're gonna have a good time.
Yes.
Yeah, real spicy. So, like I said, it was tolerable, but I like I said, I think the best way that I could probably explain it was like, people like, I feel like we were all just rabbits back in the day, like just doing shit, like
to do it,
right, just to do it, like, and I don't think that we were experiencing pleasure, but not in like not the pleasure that we want, like that we know of now. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, at least we thought it was pleasure.
Yeah, so
I don't know.
Shit, I don't even remember it. So.
Right. So, you know, since we're talking about losing your virginity and how that experience was like with you, do you feel like now at our big age, right? Do you feel like you are willing to be creative in the bedroom? Or are you willing to try anything at least once?
I am willing to be creative in the bedroom. I mean, it's 4 walls. It's just me and that person, you know, like, however, I'll never say that I'll do anything. Everything is within reason. I am willing to do most things at least once. I'm willing to do most things at least once, because for me, I always want to be like, well, I tried it once, I like it or I don't like it. You can't judge something, and I think that's a lot of misconceptions about sex. Like, people are prejudging, like, oh, this girl is like sexually liberating, she must be a hoe, or this, like, you don't know if you haven't experienced it.
Yeah.
So that just could be her way of sexual expression, or that is the way she doesn't express herself. Everything is not for everybody. So I like to at least attempt or try to do things within reason.
Yeah, within reason.
Within reason now.
Listen. There is some things where I'm gonna be like,
what's the safe word?
Wait, we need a safe word. Like, I don't know. Like, tap out. Like,
right. Tap out.
Like, I'm gonna have to talk about this.
Wrap this up.
Right. Like,
So definitely within reason, I'm willing to be creative. And I also feel like the partner that you have, if they create that space, like that safe space where you don't feel like you'll be ridiculed or, you know, it being slapped in your face. Like, sometimes I feel like you're trying something new and maybe like the person has done it before. Like, for example, okay, I haven't done this, but like BDSM, right? So say if you have like a partner who is into BDSM and they are trying things with you or whatever, and you're attempting, like, because you want to please your partner, but it's kind of like you don't know what you're doing, blah, blah. Now, if that partner ridicules you or says, oh, you're annoying me, you're pissing me off, this is no longer a safe space.
Yeah.
Because now I can't trust you to, like, teach me, like, what if I want to learn?
Right.
Or what if I want to, like, that safe space needs to be created for that creativity in the bedroom.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that 100%. Like, I definitely think that the opportunities are there. The opportunities are endless to, you know, have a creative space in the bedroom, but it also has to be safe. Like, each person has to feel safe more so than anything, so that way that, you know, they're able to be the person that they are. Like, otherwise you're gonna be in the bedroom like,
right.
Like, no, don't touch me, don't touch me, no. Like, it's just gonna, it's not gonna be
right.
fun.
It's not gonna flow.
Like, I feel like I'm willing to be creative. I feel like I am, and again, I feel like we same like, you know, willing to try and maybe I need to rephrase this. Some things once,
Right.
not anything. But
it's always some things.
Yeah, some things once. So and then let me throw this topic out there, kind of thing. When it comes to the trying anything and just sex in general. So sex is a learned behavior, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like with anything, you have to get good at, like, anything you want to get good at, you got to practice, right? Like, you know, you want to be nice with the basketball, you got to go out there and practice, keep practicing, right? Zoe even agrees. Zoe like, yes, you got to practice, right? So, if it's a learned behavior, in order to get good at it, you got to do more of it, right? Like, you got to do more of it, right? Why do you think that most people are afraid to embrace their sexuality?
Ignorance, I think, mainly, like, or lack of open-mindedness, because say, like, you're raised in an environment where, like, for me, like, we didn't talk about sex was just like, don't do it until you're married, or if you do it, you're dirty, or you're shameful, you're sinful, things like that. I think a lot of people are closed-minded when it comes to... Repeat your question again.
Why do you, if sex is a learned behavior, in order to get good at it, you have to do more of it.
Right.
Why do you think people are afraid to, like, embrace their sexuality? Like,
because of so many common misconceptions, right? Like, oh, you're a hoe, or like you're no longer pure. What is pure?
Yeah.
What is pure?
I don't know.
Like, yeah, like all these like guidelines as to how you express sex.
Yeah.
Or like even the term kinky. Is it really kinky if that's something you like to do? Or is it just kinky to me because I haven't done it and it's something new?
Right. No,
you know?
that's a good question.
Right.
That's a good question. Like, I feel like if, just like you said, like, I don't even need to say it again. Like, just like she said, like, if you like it, I love it. Okay, that ain't got nothing to do with me, right? And then I might put it in my tool bag.
For you.
Right. I might put it in my tool bag and try it later, but right now that's not, that might be a little too kinky for me or whatever, it is.
I love it.
Yeah. So, no, I get it. Like, I think that definitely have more sex.
Yeah.
Definitely embrace, your sexuality, because, the whole point of this podcast is what we're talking about is just like how it ties into your creativity. Like, do you feel like when you are sexually active or like having, busting about 3-4 nuts, a week, or having orgasms consistently, or I don't want to say in a day because I ain't trying to put nobody business out there. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever is going on, people whatever works for you. But like, do you feel like you are like flowing, like creatively, like the juices are flowing, and not just the juices in the Yoni, but the juices,
all the juices,
everything is flowing. Like,
I definitely feel a difference between when I am consistently sexually active and not active. I feel more blockage when I'm not active. I feel more tense. I feel just like sometimes all over the place. And sometimes, yes, you're all over the place when you're having sex consistently, but you just feel better being all over the place.
Right, exactly. You be happy. You be walking around like,
you can do
look, you can do anything. The sky is the limit.
The sky is the limit. And, the sky is the limit either way, but it's just the fact that it's a release, right? Like,
yeah.
It is a release that creates endorphins in your mind, right? It's the same thing as working out. It's the same thing as whatever helps you to release it. It's the same thing as crying. Like, you hold on to something for so long, and then you just miserable because you haven't had that release. It's the same thing with orgasms. The more you release and the more that you are in flow, things come easy to you. Like, I honestly feel like, actually, let me put a twist on this a little bit, because yes, sex gives you that orgasmic flow, right? However, your partner plays a role in that too.
Yeah.
Because what is your partner depositing into you?
Mm-hmm.
So I can't be wanting to be creative and, you know, manifesting and all this other stuff while I'm orgasming and stuff like that, and my partner's stressed, his eating habits are shitty, he's cheating, he's whatever.
Right.
Like, you're depositing all that negativity in me, and I'm trying to manifest positivity.
Right.
How does that work?
You talking about y'all be doing all that screaming and hollering when you having an orgasm. How about you shout out wealth,
Right.
babies, whatever it is that you want, like
Wealth, health.
Yes,
I'm
like,
rich, bitch.
I'm rich, right? Like we rich, like
we rich.
Anything manifest during them times, because like the originally sex was to the original, like, I guess I don't want to say meaning of sex, but the purpose of sex is to
procreate.
to procreate. Right. So like,
and that doesn't just have to do with babies. You create.
Right.
I feel like even when I watch artists, like when they reach a certain level of something within themselves, right? Whether it's them being sexually liberating or whatever like that. Like, look at Cardi B, for example, right? So she started off as a dancer, and she was, you know, from Bronx, New York or whatever, doing her thing. And she was authentically herself. We knew who Cardi was from the beginning to now. She is still herself, which is a whole lot of more money.
Right.
Right? And I feel like people, especially like people like Chloe, people like Beyonce, once they reach like a certain level of sexual freedom, sexual expression,
right,
their careers skyrocketed. And yes, there is something super liberating about being free within yourself.
Right.
Like, and that also comes from being rooted. Like, everything, you can't do anything without being grounded and rooted in yourself. And that comes from your root chakra, which is the very base of you. So if your root chakra is not in balance, nothing else is in balance. So when you think of these women are grounded in who they are, regardless of what the industry says, whatever, they're puppets or Illuminati, whatever. Regardless, they are grounded in who they are. They are expressive in themselves, and that gives them this type of liberation, you know, like, especially like how I see Cardi B, like, she is super expressive in whatever. Yeah, and I like that about her, like, cause I'm like, damn, I wish I could be like that. Like,
yeah, like, I ain't gonna lie. Yeah.
So she has been completely herself from the beginning to even now, and I don't foresee her changing, you know.
Yeah.
And that sexuality, even Megan Thee Stallion, like, she has like this sexuality about her. Yeah. And I feel like when women are sexually expressive or whatever,
they're not deprived.
They are able to tap into that creativity. Okay, yeah, everybody thinks, everybody's rapping about pussy now and da-da-da-da-da, whatever like that. But,
well, I mean, sometimes it is the power of the pussy.
It is the power of the pussy. Yeah. And they're making millions
right
off of it. So, I mean, I definitely think your relationship with sex has to do with a lot, because even me being raised as, you know, how I was raised, sex is a learned behavior. So yes, throughout the years and throughout various partners,
I kind of
learned, you know, how to kind of be okay in my skin, or what partner makes me cringe, or what partner makes me feel free and able to do, I mean, I say whatever, but but like, I'm able to be comfortable with them, you know, like, it's also it's how you feel, it's your perception about sex and the people you're having sex with. Yeah,
because what if you have a partner that's really, really sexually experienced, and you're not, you know, at an age or at a point, at some point, that you may have not been sexually experienced, and then sometimes that can be intimidating, like, you know, if you don't know, because Cause you thinking you out here and you done, tried everything and you get you somebody and you're like,
and you got a reality check on
right,
you.
like, wait a minute.
Pump the brakes.
Pump the brakes.
Cause next thing you know, them Sonic coins.
Right. Cause listen.
Your Sonic coins is all over the place.
Listen, knock the Sonic coins out, okay? Knock the Sonic coins out your tail, okay? That's really what be happening, like. Be out there trying to go to Pound Town and be you won't knock the Sonic coins out of me.
No sir. But like I also do, so with that, like your partner should be vocal, right? Like I love the fact that now at my big age I'm able to be vocal.
Yes.
And I'm able to be like I don't know, or what's going on, or like if somebody is doing something that I don't really technically like, or something feels off, I'm like, pause, is everything okay? Like, right. And like versus before, you kind of would just kind of go with it to be nice or whatever. But if it's a safe space, and I feel like at this age you should be vocal about what is pleasurable and what is not, or if somebody is more experienced than you can tell them like, hey, I'm not that experienced, but I'm open to whatever it is that you want to try. And that person should create that safe space for you to be like, for them to be like, okay, I'm willing to try, I'm willing to teach you, but if you're also not comfortable with it, that's okay too.
Yeah.
So it's, I mean, I don't know how much longer that would last, but
right. But just some stuff, I don't know, like I think that, excuse me, like you said, when it comes to I'm sorry, but like what you said, when it comes to just your partners and what you have going on or whatever, like I definitely think that for me, like definitely a lot more vocal in the things that I like, the things that I don't like. I remember just like immature sex, that's what I'm gonna call it, okay? Immature sex, I feel like I wasn't very vocal. Cause I mean, let's be serious, like some people, you get a guy, or whatever your preference is, and they going down or whatever, they about to perform oral sex or pleasure, whatever they about to do, and they might not know what they doing, and like sometimes you might be like, okay, maybe they'll figure it out in like 2 or 5 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, maybe the next thing 5 minutes turn into 10 minutes, and then you like, this ain't it. Let's try something else. Let's try something else. But I feel like I've also known people that, have stayed even when, the sex wasn't all that great. And then they eventually they be like, oh, I don't know what happened. Like this person took a turn and now it's everything. Like, I don't know. Like, but again, to get good at it, you gotta practice.
Yeah. So. And then to that point, it's like, if you're with somebody that the sex is not all that great, right? Mm-hmm. There's two types of people. One person is either going to leave or somebody's going to stick with it, right? And all of a sudden it's the greatest thing ever. But both parties have to be acceptable and willing to go through that transition period to learn behavior. And what's crazy? Like, I feel like when a couple is in sync sexually, like you're both able to create.
Yes.
And it's like you manifest,
like you're just power. And that's what I call power couple. Okay?
Yes,
power couple.
Like
that's what
if
I think
you are
of.
in sync sexually, like that is to me like the highest. You can manifest anything you want, and then like if your partner has an idea, if it's your husband, boyfriend, whatever. You bring that shit to life for him, or you assist him in manifesting it, or if you have something that you want to do or whatever, and you guys are in sync sexually, like you guys both want the same things.
Yeah.
So it is going to happen.
And then you take that to the bedroom and go create.
And you go create. You go create.
That's not a bad idea, though. That's not a bad idea at all.
You sit here and have these little powwow sessions, what we want to do, what the vision is. That's what I need my husband to be like, because I'm trying to.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to shake up this world.
I want it all.
I want it all. And me saying I want it all, like, I mean that shit. And I'm going to work for it. And my partner needs to be on that same level.
Right.
So, it's
a
team thing. So let's have this powwow, talk about what we want and how we're going to elevate this relationship, this union. Let's go make it happen in the bedroom.
Right. 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 Because, you know, everybody got their turn ons. Everybody got whatever,
right.
you know, makes you
take, like, for them, I mean, with that, it's kind of like, also, too, with the blockages, like, how do you get over the blockages? So, in a sense, okay, how can I word this? In having, like, a history in sex, right, or whatever, people who have experienced trauma, how does that affect their sexual freedom or liberation? Because it can go one or two ways. It can go either this person has experienced trauma and they're now just being reckless, right? Or it can be this person has experienced trauma and they're now a shell into themselves, don't want to have sex, don't want to do anything. What is the outlet for that, right? So if you're out having sex, but you're being reckless with it, how are you still able to create? I feel like everything that you attempt to create will kind of be in shambles, in a sense, right? Because you're out here being reckless.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Because again, that kind of goes back to what you said earlier about grounding. Like, anytime you're moving in that space, like you should be you should be grounded. Just because of one, anytime that you have sex with someone, it's an exchange of energies. So in order, like, and it kind of goes back to like what we were talking about when we were younger, you know, we're just having sex and, you know, not realizing that we are exchanging energies or what that person is depositing into you. So I think that definitely therapy, you know what I'm saying? I definitely think, you know, therapy should happen anytime that you're experiencing any type of sexual trauma. And if you are someone that is, you know, out there and like being sexually active, because like you said, I've known people that kind of like went crazy, or some people that just like sheltered themselves in, and then especially like being in the military, like we see a lot of, not to say that this doesn't happen, you know, outside the military, but we see a lot of like sexual trauma, and a lot of people, they end up being, most of them that I've seen are like people that like they end up, at first they like shield themselves and they don't, you know, they be like a hermit, like they just don't want to do, you know, don't want to be touched, anything like that. Like, and it's also going to depend on how traumatizing it was for the person, like, because what you may experience as sexual trauma, I may not experience as sexual trauma, you know. And I really just think that it does depend on the level of trauma that comes with it. And then, I don't want to say it like how quickly you are able to bounce back from it, but I think a lot of people don't deal with it right when it happens. And then they kind of like, they do one or two things, like they go all the way left or all the way right, and there's no balance there anymore. So they have to get back balanced and then go back out into the force and then try again, you know, and then begin that journey all over again. Just because it's, I don't know, it's hard. Like I've been a victim of sexual trauma. So I feel like I was, at some point I was either all the way left or all the way right. And it wasn't like excessive. It was more so like just not feeling worthy, not feeling worthy. So it makes you kind of feel like you are just like you're not shit, you know what I'm saying, like or your body, you know, like and then eventually, like once you kind of like step back into things, going to therapy, going to, you know, talking with people, talking with counselors, like eventually you kind of come back around. And now I have, for me, I am fully embracing my sexuality, so it's a little easier now to like walk in that path, and not be afraid and not be attached to the trauma anymore.
Okay. When you were, after your trauma, when you were kind of, when you said like all the way left or all the way right, when you were just kind of out here, right? Was there any, I guess I would say, like, was there any blockages? Like, were you actively trying to work on anything, or like, were you in school, or were you trying to tap into any type of creativity and that blockage was hindering you from creating or excelling or whatever you were working on at that time?
Yeah, because I think a lot of times when we go through trauma, like we fully encompass the trauma, like we fully embody the trauma, and then that trauma becomes our identity, like, and then all of a sudden all you know is trauma.
Okay.
And then so you don't know anything outside of that. So as time goes on, once you like detach yourself from that trauma, and what I mean by that is just like after a certain time, like you have to move forward with the trauma, and you can't necessarily like, yes, that is trauma, but I don't identify with that trauma. Like that is like, that trauma doesn't own me, is maybe that's the best way I can say it. And sometimes I think a lot of times we carry the trauma for so long that we tend to just like, it just travels with us like forever and ever, and then we don't really unclog it, like we don't really do anything about it. We just kind of keep stuffing more and more trauma or more and more issues on top of that one said trauma. So, and then before you know it, you got a whole bunch of trauma that you're trying to unclog versus that one issue that you might have been able to unclog at that one time. I hope I answered the question.
No,
I feel like I'm
rambling. No, you answered it, because it's like creativity can stem from so much stuff. So, and I'm saying it because you can either, like introverts, right? Or whatever trauma you experience. Like sometimes like I watch documentaries or shows and it'll be like the child was abused and he just sat in his room and created art. Yeah. You know, like that was his outlet.
Yeah.
But as in the mention of creativity, how effective are you in that outlet, right? Does sex have to be a factor if the creativity, if the art or whatever it is you're working on is your outlet?
I don't think sex has to completely deal with it, but I think allowing yourself to experience pleasurable moments, because again, I think, you know,
here's what I found.
Thanks,
Siri found something for us.
Siri got something to say, guys.
But I think like if you experience like pleasurable moments and don't deny yourself pleasure, like I think that can consist of anything. Like I don't think that, because pleasurable moments are just moments that of happiness, moments of desires being fulfilled, and I think that that's also a form of like creativity, like because it's an expression of yourself. And that's just like people who have like certain fetishes and stuff that it's not necessarily always like sex. Like it could be, some of them fetishes are weird, but it can you can have like different fetishes or whatever. You can have different things that you like that doesn't necessarily have to be physical sex. Like it can just be something that's pleasurable to you, to like bring out that creativity or that happiness for you. So I think I would say I think that, yeah, like you can, as long as you have a healthy outlet, then you have a space to like free up that blockage.
Create.
And it doesn't necessarily have to do directly with like sex itself. Sexuality, yes, but not sex itself. Like,
good point, because there is a difference.
Yes.
So you have sexuality doesn't always correlate with sex.
Right.
And I think a lot of people confuse that. Like, dating doesn't always correlate with sex. Like, if you tell somebody, like, oh, I'm dating multiple people, people automatically assume sometimes you're having sex with all of them. No.
Right.
Not.
Yeah. No.
No. It's sexuality and then you have sex.
Right.
So, I think that's also important to note, too, because there's so many women, like, that are like their sexuality is just them. Like, they exude sexuality. They are, and I don't even think it's like really a looks thing. It's just how they present themselves, right? Their confidence, whatever. They're grounded. Like, they're grounded in themselves, and nothing that anybody can say can shake that.
Yeah.
And so that, when you're so confident in yourself, you have like this sexual aura about you.
Yeah.
And it don't even necessarily have to do anything with sex.
Right. Yeah, like I remember like just, I feel like young with me, like dancing, and I've danced my entire life, you know, did like cheerleading, gymnastics, all that type of stuff that just like it, I don't want to say it helps you come into your sexuality very young,
Right.
but it definitely teaches you how to like I guess carry this type of persona about you, and people, and I think the flip side of that is that people will people tend to sexualize you young, or over sexualize you at a younger age when you're doing those type of things, just because like some of those things, like the clothes that you're wearing, the way you're moving your body, like, and as you get older, like you really like embody that, and you come into it. Like, I remember just like stuff just used to flow naturally to me when it came to certain things. And then eventually, like, once I stopped creating in that sense, I feel like I just kind of got stagnant in other areas of my life. So that's why, like, they say when I can't speak for men, and I can't speak for all women, but I can speak for some. Like, when, a lot of times when we're stressed out, the first thing that we do is we neglect our sexual organs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, that's the first thing. Or even when you're in a relationship and you're mad at your spouse, your whoever it is, and you get mad, the first thing you do is you're like, no, you can't have sex. We can't have sex.
Right.
Like,
and that's interesting because I'm trying to think. I don't believe in withholding sex from your partner, but sometimes there are things that they do that turn you off, and you don't want to engage in sex. And it's very different for men and women. Men can have sex regardless. Like, they can have sex regardless. I swear they can. Like, you could have just told him to kick rocks, like, and he will still want to have sex with you at the end of the night. Like, baby, you still mad? Give me 24 hours. Like,
right.
But
give me 50 feet.
Yeah, give me back up. But with that, I think, like, for me, when I go through hard times, like, if I'm not in a relationship and I'm going through hard times, or like I'm stressed or whatever, I'm not thinking about entertaining somebody that I'm dating or entertaining new people, or because I got to get my shit together. Like, it's all a mental thing. But it's one of those things, like, if you consume yourself too much in that, you miss out on the pleasurable things.
Yeah.
So, and pleasurable, like you said, does not always mean sex. Pleasurable can just be the simple act of meeting somebody and laughing.
Yeah.
Or meeting somebody and being able to talk to that person or whatever. Being so consumed you automatically just neglect yourself sexually and just as a whole because you're so focused on the external things that are making you stressed out and trying to fix them that you neglect everything else.
Yeah. And that's one thing I feel like for me, I feel like when before I would be really, really stressed and I'd be like, no, I don't want to have sex. Like, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to, like, I'm putting her on timeout. Like, right? I'm putting her on timeout. Like,
get ourselves together.
We need to get ourselves together. But I think when I really like sat back and thought about it and started to embrace my sexuality more, I feel like when the stressful times come,
that's when you wanna.
That's when I want to. Yeah. Like, I want to be like, all right,
I need to get this energy.
I need to move this energy up out of me. Like, whatever it is, like you gotta go. You gotta go.
You gotta go.
Like,
I feel like that's why you should always have like a sexual partner on hand. Like, even if you're not in a relationship or not saying multiple or whatever floats your boat, we're not judging here.
Right.
We're not judging. But for me and my body,
in this
body, like, I feel like you should have somebody that is, and I guess that some people say like a fuck buddy, but like, I don't want to say just a fuck buddy, because for me, a fuck buddy is just that. Like, we're not texting throughout the day. We're not kikiing and ha-haing. And it's when it's time to have sex, we have sex. And that's just it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's so funny. We had this group conversation where we were all hanging out and just was talking about how men get upset when women take control of their sexuality.
Yeah.
And one of the guys was saying, oh, like, but what if I want to text you good morning, or what if but no, that's not, women create these boundaries so that the lines do not get blurred.
Right.
So if we are just fuck buddies and you're texting me good morning, you want to take me out to eat, and now the lines are getting blurred.
Right.
And now you're upset because I'm catching feelings because you want to spend time with somebody that you don't have feelings for.
Yeah.
Make it make sense.
Like, don't cause confusion.
Confusion.
And if there is changes to the plan, then
vocalize
let's vocalize it. Let's talk about it. Let's, come to a happy medium, or either the contract is null and void. Like, it's one or the other. Like, we have a conversation. Like, but I think a lot of times that's because people be trying to tiptoe across the line, and then they thinking you ain't gonna see them, and then you gotta pop their hand and get back over it. Get your ass back over there. Get
your ass back on that other side of the line, because you're trying to do too much. And then this is like and guys honestly create the confusion because they're so busy trying to. I feel like guys have like a lack of boundaries sometimes. Not all men, but sometimes guys have a lack of boundary. Versus women, we have to create those boundaries to protect ourselves in a lot of ways. So if you're saying you just want sex, cool. I am completely detached from everything else. You don't have to text me throughout the day. You don't have to take me out or whatever. We are just having sex. But I feel like women should have somebody to have at least one person to like have that release. Yeah. And like for me, last guy I was dating, it didn't turn out to be a relationship, but we were just cool. We were just cool, and when it was time to have sex, we had sex. Yeah, because like some people were like, oh, go ahead, sorry. And not to cut your wisdom, but it's just like we had that. We were cool. We went out to eat. We had drinks. He'd come over. I'd go there. We'd talk about stuff. And it was just that. And we would have sex. Yeah. So, and we didn't like each other, but there were just some things that it was like, oh, this, you don't want certain things. I want certain things. So this is not going to work, you know? So we knew that, but that was my outlet. And I was his outlet. And it worked. It worked. So I feel like you should have that somebody. And what do you think about toys? Because I feel like
I was
toys
just about
also-
to talk about that. I was just about to talk
Because
about
I
that.
also feel like toys can be an outlet, but like,
When you was like, sorry to cut your wisdom.
Yeah.
I was just about to talk about toys.
Yes, so like toys create a. I mean, okay, you can make yourself orgasm, right?
Uh-huh.
But I feel like it's something about a person.
Yes. Don't get me wrong.
Mhm.
I like my toys. I like my toys, okay?
Facts.
And it's even better when you have a partner.
Yes.
And you can use toys. Like, there's different, there's
Right,
you know,
right.
that you can be creative, But I think that I think for some reason, like after a while, it's like you want the real deal. Like
Right, you want that
I want the
person.
real deal. Like I
after
want
orgasm,
you
I want to
here.
turn around and cuddle.
Right. Like what I'm gonna do? Cuddle with my
I'm gonna cuddle my dildo.
Terrible. Like women, we be having the most. We be doing the most. We be doing the most. You know how growing up you would watch them movies and then like the woman to get mad because the guy don't want to give her none, and then she be like, I'm gonna get my toy. I ain't never reaching for no toy when he right there.
When he's right there.
Come in, bring that
Come
dick
on.
here.
Right. So it's like, I feel like toys are cool, but I need that person, like
Yeah, that
even
physical
now, like
touch.
that physical touch, or like that just enjoyment. Like sex to me is not really. I like to have fun during sex, and I like to joke, and I like to laugh, and I like to, just be with a person. So there's only so much you can do with a toy,
Right?
Like we're not keeping.
That's like Pound Town, like you know what I'm saying, like, with the toy, like that's it.
That's all.
Wham bam, thank you, ma'am. Goodbye. Like
that's it, and that's all.
Like
so.
But no, the real deal is definitely where it's at.
With
like,
the person.
With the person.
Like, it's like an exchange of energy.
Yeah.
And that's what creates the creativity.
Yeah.
Like you have this, and don't get me wrong, like I know people that practice like sex magic or whatever like that just through orgasm. So like when they orgasm, they visualize or they manifest or whatever. And that works. But also too, yes, that works, but dang, I would love to do that with a person, or like procreate whatever I'm visioning with somebody else's energy. You know, like I feel like two energies are better than one.
Yeah. And that's kind of what we were talking about earlier. We was like, when you are having those orgasms, then you call out those things that you want to manifest, like, and that you guys are manifesting together, like, I think that shit is dope. Like I think it's cool. I think it's cool. And then to see it like just actually transpire like afterwards, like it's just like, and it's almost like you were saying, like, okay, we talk about this plan, you know what I'm saying? We sit here and we say this, and then I say go to the bedroom and then create it, like, and then it's like, okay, now we done made the plan, let's go stamp it in the bedroom, you know what I'm saying? Like that's it. So I think that's dope. Like
I think that's dope, and especially like with somebody that's just in tune with you. Like
So what do you think about people who are in no way, shape, form, or fashion are we saying that in order for you to have a in order to be creative, that you have to have sexuality? That is not what we're saying. We're talking about how they
coexist
in a sense. And sometimes when you are strong in your sexuality, your creativity flows better.
Right.
And when you're not having sex, then you can see the stagnant areas in your life, and sometimes it correlates to you being backed up. You gotta block it up.
Blockage.
Like I say, you blocked up. A blockage.
A blockage.
But so what do you think, and the reason why I asked this is like, what about people who are practicing like abstinence and time out, I got another question. What do you think about men who practice what is it? Semen retention?
Okay. So men that practice, so semen retention is actually a form of power for men.
Yes.
So it's funny because your friend just mentioned that with boxers. Like, boxers don't have sex or release right before a match, or some people, depending on what they're doing, if it's something strenuous, they won't release before doing that because they're off balance. So semen retention for men is actually very powerful.
Yeah.
And
I think they said, what, Kevin Gates practiced, like, he
oh,
practices
really?
that, yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's a very powerful thing. Like, men should not, and I think everybody at one point correlated sex with orgasm, or actually for men, correlated sex with a release, right? So, same guy that I used to date, we were having sex and he didn't he didn't do it, like he didn't release, right? And he gets up and he's like getting dressed and I'm like, hey.
You want to talk about it?
Hey, so I realized did you come?
I can only imagine the thoughts that was going through your head, like, is something wrong with me?
And he was like, no, I didn't. And I was just like, is there a reason? And he was just like, I mean, yeah, I don't associate pleasure with always releasing.
Right.
And that's actually, and I thought about it, I was like, that's actually very smart. You know?
Yeah.
Like, and especially like for men, like that semen retention, or just pleasure does not always mean like release.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you can just get to a point where you just like the feeling or whatever. Yes, okay, you want to, it's cool to release or whatever, but with releasing, there's always intention. Just like with sex, there's always intention. So sex was meant to procreate. Your release, what are you creating with you consistently releasing? What are you creating? At some point, you're going to create a baby.
Yeah, that part.
That part, you're going to create a baby, or you're going to be off balance for men, because a man who is just releasing, you're reckless with yourself.
Yeah, and you just
it's not the same as women. Yeah, you're exchanging energies, and it's not the same as women where us releasing creates this. We manifest whatever we've released, right? Mm-hmm. So whatever it is that we have on our minds or whatever, us releasing is actually some type of endorphin for us. And it is for men too, but men have to be a little bit smarter than just releasing every time or just releasing everywhere or, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah, because like, I mean, even when you think of the nature with it, like when a guy comes, he has the ability to like pull out, stay in, choose another location.
Right.
But for women, like it's you know, it's in a portal. You know what I'm saying? So it's releasing from a portal. So just like with the options and stuff like that, and
I don't know too many men that after they release, they get up and continue on with their day.
Yeah,
like,
no,
they
like
usually are done. Like they don't have the energy.
Yeah.
So that's why, like, I think a lot of times, well, that makes sense with the boxing. Why you wouldn't want to have sex or release before a boxing match, or why you wouldn't want to release before you go work out or something like that. You're going to be weak. Mm-hmm. So for men, you're actually depleting your body of their strength, and like, you know, and also it's different for women. I can have sex, bust a good nut, get up and keep going and conquer the day.
Right.
Like I can go happily conquer the day.
Yes.
But it's different for men.
Yeah, I think so too. I think like you said, when it comes to men and the semen retention, and I think that it definitely exudes a different type of power for them. Mm-hmm. Versus like when the release of just, cause I ain't gonna lie, dudes be weak as hell after they
be weak as hell.
Like But no, like I definitely, like you said, for women though, like when we actually release, like we are literally like releasing, like it's almost like everything is, it's like a
release, like a cry, or like
yeah,
you have like it's a refreshing release where it's just like, oh, I had a stressful day and I just released the shit up out of me.
Yeah,
I'm A1 now.
Because it kind of feels like there is an emotion attached to women when it comes down to like releasing.
Mm-hmm.
But versus like men sometimes.
Men
not to say that
just
it's
have
like,
sex to have sex. It's sad. But
look, they like,
I need to bust this nut.
You get a nut. You get a nut.
You get a nut. You get a nut. Everybody get a nut. You might get a baby. Like, or you might get an STD. Like, it's just,
what the hell?
be smart. Just be smart. Like,
listen, nah, like I don't know. Like I've never experienced a guy that does the semen retention. But I'm curious, like I just to see,
right,
like how does that transpire over into your life? Like,
I honestly feel like men have more control over their lives.
Yeah.
But
just like I would like to see, like see
right,
how that actually
like
happens.
You're more, for men, that semen retention, like the semen is kind of like where their power holds, like where they hold their power. So to have semen retention, you are more focused. They are more focused. They
disciplined at that.
Are more disciplined. So yeah, that semen retention is very powerful for men. But like you said, like I would love to see it firsthand, like just how that thing is. And I know there were some people like doing like No Nut November, whatever. Have you heard? Did you heard of that?
But what does that mean? Does that mean like no sex,
no,
or that means you just when you get ready to nut you can't?
I don't know, and I never got clarification.
Or put somebody on my line so I can ask them what did that mean.
Guys, tap in,
right?
Because what is No Nut November? Are you not having sex at all, or can you have sex and you just
can't nut?
Not nutting.
Right.
Questions that need answers.
Right. I would say y'all to call us on the line, but
we
ain't got no
phone.
We got no phone, like so we just gonna let y'all ponder on that, and then if y'all got some information, like
just slide in our DMs. It's a safe space. You'll be anonymous,
right?
and yeah, like it's funny how orgasming for men and women is just completely different.
Yeah.
So in the men's space, it's semen retention, and they're able to create from that, right?
Yeah.
So and is it actually withholding? Because even if it is withholding in a sense, right? So withholding your semen, right? Not ejaculating is essentially powerful for a man, and they're able to create and be in their power when they're not releasing their semen. For women, when we release, we're able to conquer the world and be in our power.
Right.
And think so. It's funny how that works.
Yeah, the release for one is in the withholding of the other.
Right.
So like of how that power. I just thought about like just like control, like how that could like look in another area of a man's life, like with that type of control, like
so as women, since women have to release, right, and that's how they kind of create, you have to have some type of pleasure to be able to create. And you touched on earlier how pleasure doesn't always mean sex, but when it comes to sex, what is pleasurable to you?
Ooh. Like what's pleasurable to me? So like I am a person, like you mean like what type of actions is pleasurable?
Like what is in the bedroom, what do you consider pleasurable, or Like, yeah, or even it could
like,
just be foreplay, like whatever. Because for women, I feel like sex is an all day thing.
Yeah,
like,
because when you get ready to, when you're gonna have, like, when especially like if you're okay. So I can't say for like people that aren't in relationships or whatever. But even when you aren't in a relationship, like I take that back. For women, we're getting ready all day.
Yeah.
Like all day. Like our body is like preparing itself.
Right.
Like we're thinking
like,
about
we
it.
know.
Like again, the juices are flowing. Like for me, I am a foreplay type of person. I do like foreplay.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely gotta have some ass smacking in there. I am like, especially like I'm an inner thigh person. So like if
Mm-hmm.
he down there doing his duty,
doing his due diligence.
Right, blessing me, like
right.
then, and he like bite on my inner thigh, like, listen, we got a game, okay? This is happening. This is full throttle at this point.
Yeah.
So, stuff like that. Like, I think, and it kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Just like, I remember when, being younger and kind of, I will say, like, sexually immature, like,
mm-hmm.
I just kind of felt like I would be scared to, like, say what I liked and say what I didn't like or what I liked. But now, listen, if I need if I need a little smack to the ass and you ain't hit it yet, and I'll be like, smack my ass, listen, like do it, like. But most of the time I don't have to. Sometimes I just like to say it because I just like to hear myself say it. Like,
I like to hear myself talk. You know what I'm saying?
Like, it be like that sometimes.
Yeah. And I think like guys like that, like when you talk to them.
Yeah.
So it turns them on. And I think typically, like you were saying, like women get ready all day, especially like I feel like if you have a partner, right? Or if you're in a relationship or whatever, if I know I'm gonna come home and you're gonna know. Because you're going to know from the second it's a thought in my mind that this is what I'm thinking.
Because I'm going to be texting all day. We're going to be sexting.
We're going to be right.
We're going
to be sexting. We're going to be... And I don't even know if men require all that. But for women...
I think it's the imagination. Like, I think it brings a different style to the relationship. Like, because dudes probably like, yeah, I'm going home, fuck the shit out of her. You know what I'm saying? Like, type thing. But the women, we finna get courted. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We finna talk. Like
we need this.
We ain't gotta say what we gonna. No, we could say what we gonna do. Like, I want to do this to you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I want to do that to you, or whatever the case may be. I think that brings a different. You know what I'm saying? Or it's like a thing. Like it spices up the day. Like, but just know that if you said it, you better do it when you get in the bedroom. Don't be telling that man you're gonna do something. You're gonna do something.
Do what you said you was gonna do. Don't be playing with that man's feelings like that. Don't be playing with that man's feelings. You get all hot and
bothered ready, and you get to the bedroom like, oh no, I was just playing.
Get home. You get home and you tired because work done stressed you out.
Right. Don't be trying to take no rain checks.
Now you gotta do cartwheels on a man penis because that's what you said.
Right. You said it, not me.
You said it, not me. And yeah, I think for me, what's pleasurable to me, I like a guy that, I don't know, I like for somebody to be a little aggressive. But well, let me take that back. I like somebody who knows how to switch with the mood. Yeah. Like, yes, we can be in Pound Town for about 2 minutes. Then you might want to be able to centralize that thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, slow down the stroke, whatever like that. Choke me a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Right, like, no, I'm good for that. Listen, I'm good for that. Listen.
You know, our parents was praying for our safeties and now we want people to choke us. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
I done almost passed out a couple of times.
like, yo, tap out. Wait. You're too tight. Right. But I also feel like the more pleasure, because you can have sex, right? Like we were talking about, like the immature sex. You can have sex, but then you can have pleasurable sex. And when you have pleasurable sex, that's when you're really able to tap in.
Yeah.
And that's when you're really able to have this feeling of like conquering the world.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, like pleasure, like that choking, that ass slapping. I mean, some people are into BDSM, like we had talked about earlier. To each his own. Yeah. If that is what you like, that is what you like.
Do whatever your pussy can handle.
And I honestly, like, kudos to the people who are into BDSM, because I feel like you're in a whole different space mentally.
Yeah.
To be able to handle the certain things that they do. Like, I don't know everything, but I mean, they do have like some stuff that, you know, it takes a real special type of mental level to be able to sustain that. So
especially for like long periods of time, like I can't see nobody in there whipping me for no long period of time. Like you got one good hit out of me and that's it. Like
and we about to fight, because if you don't stop, I'm Tupac. Now I'm Tupac and we gonna fight. Like Thug Life.
Now I'm gonna have to pull up on you, okay?
Now it's Thug Life.
It's not. It is. You hit me, I'm gonna hit you back. Like. Nah, that's funny. Like, like I feel like we both probably tried a little bit of it, like the beginning stages of it. You know, like we said, you know, the ass smacking, the choking and stuff like that, the handcuffs, the things like blindfold, like
BDSM.
Like I've tried that type of stuff, but some of that other stuff. That's a little too experienced for me.
Not for me.
Like, because if you bring out a whip, a paddle, anything, I'm gonna be like,
sir, excuse me. That's what we're not gonna do.
Right, like, but some people like it. Like, some people like it. Some people love it. I ain't knocking nobody to do it. Like, whatever is pleasurable to you, because again, like, it kind of goes back to like, you know, the topic at hand. Like, just what is pleasurable for you? Mm-hmm. Like. I was in this Power of Pleasure class given by the great Tama, the womb sauna headquarters. She was giving this class, and so like one of the assignments was that you had to teach yourself to endure pain, and and of course it's called the Power of Pleasure. So you're literally talking about pleasure. It's like a 6-week class, and you're literally talking about pleasure, encouraging women to go out and do like just experience pleasure, whatever that looks like for you. But then like sometimes we talk about like that stagnant energy, or we talked about like why we're not creating because we're not having sex, like we're not, you know, doing the creative part of what our bodies were made to do, was to create. And so one of the things that we had to do was like basically like test certain parts of your body and like pinch yourself, or like pinch and twist or whatever it is, but you do it on different parts of your body in areas that would necessarily hurt you, but you were kind of teaching your body to like that not all pain is bad pain. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes because you don't know what you like. If you've never experienced that type of listening, like some people, you can't say like, I don't like nobody biting my inner thigh if you've never had that done to you. Like, because some people just like, nah, don't bite me. Like, that's just like scratching. You know what I'm saying? Like some guys are like, scratch me. Right. Trey Songz said it. But for some people, they're like, nah, don't scratch me. Like, like some guys be like, like they turn into a whole woman. Like when you scratch them, like nah. Like, so I think like we said, like stuff you don't know what your body is able to tolerate. If you don't, you know, experience. And like I feel like we should be exploring our own bodies. Like you should be able to explore your own body and know what you like, and that's another reason that will help you to get in touch with your sexuality, because if you know what your body likes and you are able to be pleasurable to yourself, then someone else coming in and providing that pleasure for you, like just like, you know, Tama always tells me too, she was like, I have no shortage of love or pleasure in my life, like because you're literally like always experiencing pleasure around you, you know, and you're making room for that. And it's important to make room for that because it just, like, who wants to live a life with no pleasure?
I didn't get that.
Siri, you are being nosy.
Siri is all in our business.
All in the business. But yeah, I definitely feel that. Like, you can't spend your life without pleasure because then you're not living.
Yeah.
You're not living. And the more pleasure you have, again, this doesn't always pertain to sex. However, if you do want to experience pleasure sexually, then yes, that it correlates with creating. But just experiencing pleasure in itself, whether it's going for a walk, going to work out, or having dinner with somebody, whatever it is, whatever that release is for you, that taps into your creativity and that helps you to be in a better flow state.
Yeah.
In a sense, yeah.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that. Like, I definitely agree with that. I'm definitely happy that we had this conversation.
Yeah.
Definitely got to, learn a little bit about each other too through this.
Yes.
Again, just like, you said, when it comes to sexuality and creativity, we're not saying that, if you're not having sex, you're not creative. That's not what we're saying. We're showing you that they, can coexist and how you can bring them together. And, again, later we'll have another conversation about spirituality and sexuality. But we won't go into that. That's a whole nother topic for you guys. But yeah, so how sexuality and creativity can coexist in the same space. But yes, everything we talked about, we had a lot of fun today, just expressing ourselves to you all. Just remember that when you are in that space that you are vulnerable, so make sure that you are in a safe space and that you're around people that, will take good care of you. So just, know we are not in no way, shape, form, or fashion telling anyone to go out there and just have, wild, endless sex, irresponsible sex. But definitely have some wild sex, Open up a little bit, just a little bit.
Just a little, pop it, bust it wide open for a real nigga.
Yeah. Bust it wide. But with that being said, we thank you all so much for tuning in today. Again, I'm Tasha. This is my great sis Kat. I am the Unklogg host, and she is the Cherisher Yoni. So if you would like to see more from us or hear more from us, definitely tune in. We'll definitely be doing another episode. Yes. Maybe a part 2.
Maybe a part 2. Maybe some collaborative events. You never know what may be coming up in the future. But definitely, if you want to see more of us collaborating, just let us know, and we'll definitely be working on it.
Yes. So thank you all again. We hope you have a blessed night, day, week, and we love you.
Peace.